talking about raw meat. Alright guys, thanks for coming back on down to Snoopshow. Today we're going to be talking again about raw meat a little bit. So a lot of you guys who are watching this probably saw my last video where I kind of talked about raw meat and the benefits of it and why I eat it and why you may or may not want to do that. And that video was actually really popular, so I figured I would follow up with this one because last time I kind of alluded to an experiment that I was going to be doing, and I did it. So what I did, I kind of call it like a pre-carnivore diet experiment, is I had at least one serving of raw meat every day for 7 days. So it was mostly beef. It was a little bit of lamb a couple times too. Anyway, if this is your first time seeing this, I would recommend go watching the other video. But for now, since you're here, I'll explain to you a little bit more about it. So the reason that I got into eating raw meat is because when you don't cook it, you don't denature all the proteins and the fat-soluble vitamins and the omega-3 fatty acids and all the conjugated linoleic acid, or CLA, which is a popular weight loss supplement. All those things exist in beef as long as it's, you know, good pastured, grass-fed organic beef that hasn't been given any weird hormones or anything like that. So all these things in there are really sensitive to heat. So when you cook something, the more you cook it, the more you break it down. And some of those things are not as bioavailable, meaning your body's not going to absorb them as well if they're cooked. So this is kind of an experiment I was trying. The reason that I want to eat meat in my diet in general is because a lot of people will argue for the nutrients in plants, that they say they have a lot more vitamins and you know, other micronutrients and stuff like that. That is true, and plants are awesome, but you got to think about, if you're eating an animal that's been eating those types of plants all day long, all of those nutrients, all of those vitamins are going to be accumulated in the fatty tissue of that animal. So if you ate, say, you know, a 8-ounce fillet of grass-fed Australian beef, you're eating way more than 8 ounces of the fat-soluble vitamins like A, and you're getting B vitamins. Vitamin K2 is really important as well, and that's really, really high in grass-fed beef. So you'd have to be grazing all day long to get anywhere near those vitamins. And actually, some of them are not even absorbed as well from plants as they are from animal sources. And I know a lot of you guys are going to probably call me out on that and try to argue. And go ahead, please. I'm open to all of this. There are definitely benefits from getting your nutrients from a lot of different places, which is why I'm not fully carnivore, nor am I vegan. I live kind of a conscious omnivore type of diet. So here's how my experiment went. I had 1 serving a day, usually in the afternoon. It was not my first meal of the day, but it was not my last meal of the day. So as you guys saw in the last video, I usually put on a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt, as well as that sprinkle seasoning that's made by Bragg. That stuff's really awesome. You should check it out. I'll leave a link down here for both of those things, because those are just really important things to get into the diet. All the different phenols from the spices, and then all the different minerals from the salt. Plus, it makes the steak taste absolutely delicious. So here's how I felt after I did that. A few things happened. Number one is, and this is one of the biggest reports that I've heard from people who are eating raw meat regularly, is my strength went up pretty significantly. So I broke my record on deadlift, which wasn't all that high. I got to 225, which I'd never done before. But for me, that was a decent weight, and I did it several times. And I also, my bench press went up significantly as well. Not like to my all-time record, but for where I've been lately, it definitely got up there. So I definitely noticed some strength increases, have really good stamina in the gym. Another thing that happened though was when I ate it, I felt a really good, clean, not really a heady buzz, but just a really nice, clean sense of energy and calm. And it also seemed to kind of help my digestive system a little bit, because I don't know if perhaps there's raw enzymes that occur in the meat that kind of help you digest it and maybe help out your digestive system when it comes to digesting other food, or it could have been the detoxification effects that come from the undenatured fats that are in the meats. Because when I was eating lamb especially, I was eating the shanks, and if there was fat on the side of it, or if there was some fat in the marrow of the bones, I was eating all of that. And I felt really, really good for it. I wanted to really go for it with the experiment, so I did, and I felt awesome. So I'm not recommending you necessarily do this, but if this is something you're interested in, this is kind of why I wanted to go for it and show you guys. You know, I didn't get sick a single time. I didn't feel bad at all. I felt great, and I would definitely do it again. And I'll probably keep doing it. I'm not necessarily going to incorporate it in my diet every day necessarily right now, but I did it for a week, and I felt awesome. So I think you know, any negative effects would probably have been noticed after a week in terms of, you know, parasites or just bacterial infections or anything weird like that. Usually the body figures that stuff out pretty quick. So I felt awesome. I'm not saying you should go out and buy any random piece of meat off the store. Oh, manager special discount, you know, T-bone. Don't do that. That's not going to be good quality, and that is how you're going to get sick. So I'm going to answer a few questions that I've been getting from my last video, a few like common questions that people have about eating raw meat in general. So number one, the biggest question I was getting was, how do you know if it's good quality? And there's a few ways. So number one, the most important thing is, well, one of the most important things is making sure you're getting grass-fed organic beef whenever possible. I personally don't eat any other type of beef. It's not a problem if you do, but I really wouldn't mess with those when they're raw, because this isn't guaranteed, but it's kind of my feeling, my intuition, that the organic grass-fed farms have a little bit better practicing or a little bit better processing strategies. A little bit better processing standards. I have to sneeze. So I like to get my stuff from that, just a good quality source. So I think it's less likely to have contamination. Plus, you don't have all those weird hormones and stuff in there. And if you're getting grain-fed meat, you're not getting half the benefits anyway, because you're missing out on the high concentration of CLA and the omega-3 fatty acids, and those are like, wow, that's what you really want. Those are the super nutrients. That's the first thing, is make sure you're getting it from a good source. But second, don't give up at that point. Don't say, oh, I got myself a nice package of grass-fed Angus beef, 85% lean. That you're not done yet. That's the easy part. The second part is when you go home, and you open the package, use as many senses as possible to assess the quality of what you're about to eat. This doesn't just apply to raw meat. This applies to everything. So take a look at it. See if it looks weird, if there's any like gray spots or things that just don't feel right to you. Smell it a little bit. Kind of like let it go across your tongue and your nose. I know this sounds silly, but this is important. You really need to know what's going into your body. And your body, if you listen to it, it's going to tell you right away if you're making a good decision or a decision that's going to make you feel not so good 30 minutes from now and end up keeled over in a bathroom somewhere. You don't want that, so listen to your body. So once you do that, if everything seems good with it, it is. At least that's been my experience. Then you can just prepare it however you want. I usually cut it into little strips and put on some pink salt and like I said, the sprinkle seasoning. But here's what you do. If you get the meat and it seems a little bit off, not like rotten or bad, but it seems a little bit sketchy, just cook it. Just sear the outside of it. I had to do that a couple times. Not during my 7-day experiment. I got pretty lucky with that. But in general, a couple times I've been eating raw meat and it seems like a little bit something. So what I do is I just put it on my cast iron pan and I just barely sear both sides of it, because the majority of any bacteria that are going to be inside of the meat itself is going to be on the surface, on the outside, because that's the part that is exposed to the air and you know, put into the packaging and all that stuff. So just give it a quick little sear and that'll kill off anything that's on the outside, but it's not going to denature the meat too much. It's basically just eating like a super rare steak, like rarer than you would ever be allowed to be served in a restaurant. So that's it. The third thing is, just in case, and I don't do this, what I'm about to say, just because I eat raw meat. This is something I do in general. But keep a healthy immune system, because honestly, no matter what you're doing, whether you're eating raw meat or it could be bagged salad, it could be a bad cucumber that you got, or a sweet potato with a little spot in it that you didn't see. You really never know. And these days with industrial farming practices, you do your best to get good quality organic stuff that's fresh and hopefully local as well. But every once in a while, you're going to hit something weird. It's happened to all of us. So your body, you want to make sure you're prepared at the cellular level for when the inevitable, you know, infection happens. There's a few different things I do for that. First of all, make sure you're sleeping adequately. That's really important. Your immune system does the majority of what it does while you're sleeping. Number two, there's a couple supplements I take. So I take vitamin C daily, usually about 1 gram. If I feel like I need it, I'll up the dose to maybe 2 grams, but that helps a lot. And then the third one is iodine. So there's a lot of different forms of iodine. I use potassium iodide, it's called Lugol's solution. It's actually 3 different types of iodide, but it's primarily the potassium iodide. And that has tons of benefits on its own. But one, your body is really good at using iodine to fight bacterial infection. Obviously, you know, and you've probably been to a doctor's office and you're getting a shot and they take that swab of weird red stuff and they, you know, kind of smells alcoholish, and they go like this on your skin before they give you the shot. What they're doing is it's an antiseptic. It's killing any bacteria in the area so that it doesn't get into your body when they give you the shot. And your body knows what this is, and so it can itself, if it has adequate iodine levels in the body, it can accumulate them and send them to a spot of infection. So it's really smart. You just have to give your body the right ingredients to do what it needs to do. With all that being said, I have not had any problems with raw meat. I feel really good from it as long as it's good quality, so make sure you're getting good quality stuff too. Try this out if you'd like. Let me know what you think about this. I know a lot of people in the last video, there was really mixed responses. Some people thought it was a really cool idea and they're really fascinated by it. Obviously, I'm fascinated by it, and a lot of my favorite animals eat raw meat as that's all they eat. But you might not be inclined to do that yourself. So if you're curious about it, just send me a message and or post a comment. Let me know what you think. If you want to see more of these videos, and you haven't done this already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and then also that little bell next to the subscribe. Click that too, and that way it'll keep you up to date on when I make new videos and stuff, so you guys can kind of follow it and give me some feedback about what you think. If you guys have any requests for videos, anything that maybe goes a little bit more in depth than a little reply on a comment, I do take requests. So send me any ideas that you guys have, and I'll talk to you soon.